Classic TV fans, Rick 9G here. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about The Twilight Zone. More specifically about an episode from The Twilight Zone that I know many of you have seen and have enjoyed. And about one of the actors in the actual episode and whatever happened to him. I think you'll be surprised to see where he finally showed up. I think it's really cool because I've covered that as well. I'll talk a little bit about it in just a little bit, but before I do, I want to thank all of you for supporting the channel, for being Patreon members. Those of you who are so, we have exclusive things on there. Links are in the description. Also, to all of you who have subscribed and liked this video, I do appreciate it. So the episode I'm referring to is Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? It's a season 2, episode 28 production, and it's a great one. I am not going to spoil the ending of this actual episode. There's no reason to in this one. I've done it in other ones, in other of my videos, but essentially this is what happens. Now, after an anonymous phone call about a spacecraft that crashed in a frozen wood, 2 police officers find evidence that this is really true, that this crash finally happened. So one alien from the spacecraft had walked away from the spot, and he drove by to a nearby cafe, and they found a bus there with 7 passengers waiting for the reopening of a bridge that was closed off because of the snow. Now, the driver said that he had only 6 passengers when he parked the bus, but while interrogating everyone in the actual cafe, you will see that there are 7. So there's an extra, meaning that one of those individuals is actually not human, but an alien. And it's really cool to find out because throughout the episode, you think you know, and then the story throws a wrench into that system. And so you never really know for sure who's the alien and their surprises. Again, I won't spoil it. It is a great episode. I do want to note when it did come out. It came out May 26, 1961. And as I mentioned, if you haven't seen this one, it is a great one. And one of the men who was actually one of the passengers is the man who I am focusing on. Here he is right here. The character was Peter Kramer. Interesting. Keep that in mind. The last name of the character was Kramer. And the actual name of the actor was Bill Irwin. Now, again, this is Bill Irwin in 1961. I know a lot of you want to see where he appeared. And yes, he was an actor who appeared in many productions, but he also appeared in this production that I have covered many times on this channel. 32 years later, after this Twilight Zone production, we have Seinfeld. The episode is called The Old Man. It's season 4, episode 18 production that aired on February 18th, 1993. I'll tell you a little bit about the episode, and it's pretty surprising when you see it. Interestingly enough, the Seinfeld gang in this episode is a little bit selfless, just a little bit. They volunteer for the elderly, or helping the elderly, visiting them, and each adopts, quote unquote, an older person. Now, when Elaine gets freaked out by the one that was given to her, George gets fired by his person. Essentially, the elderly man says, "You're fired from this," and that is a hilarious scene. And Jerry's the one who's paired up with Sydney Fields. Now, Sydney Fields is played by the same man in that Twilight Zone episode that I just showed you a little bit ago, Bill Irwin. And this is him 32 years later, which is absolutely incredible. And as I mentioned, Bill Irwin played the character of Kramer, the last name Kramer, in that Twilight Zone episode. Interestingly enough, one of the 4 main characters of Seinfeld is named Kramer, with the first name of Cosmo. And so that is really cool. I don't know if that was intentional or not. That is probably not, because when they thought of the name Kramer, there was probably no thought of the character from the Twilight Zone, which he would later star in the 4th season and so forth. But it is kind of an interesting coincidence that I did want to know. And I thought a lot of you might like stuff like that, because those are the things that I usually highlight on this video. Now, this wasn't particularly the best episode of Seinfeld. In fact, it wasn't one of my favorites. It was a little bit creepy, but there were some funny moments with it when you watch it, and some selfless moments. It was kind of out of place. My favorite part was essentially Kramer trying to sell those old vintage records, again in a big fight with the guy at the record place who was incidentally the guy from the movie Saw, the horror genre Saw, Tobin Bell. And so that's really cool too. But I hopefully you enjoyed this video looking at what happened to the man who played Kramer in that episode of The Twilight Zone. Now, unfortunately, Bill Irwin passed away in 2010, but he did live to the nice old ripe age of 96 years old, spanning a huge career in almost 250 credits. Unbelievable, his film career, and I was happy to be able to highlight him here. Thanks so much for the support as always, and don't forget everyone, no matter what you're going through, no matter what difficulty you may be struggling with, remember, I even have them, we all have them, we have to be hopeful, we have to stay positive. Even myself during this time is going through a little bit of a struggle, but is on the tail end of it, and I do appreciate all your love and support. It really means a lot. We'll see you next time, and don't forget, be hopeful. Thank you so much to everyone who supports my work on Patreon. David D, Sally N, Gerard D, Greg S, Ricky, Citizen Kane 359, Kevin K, and Vito L. If you want to appear on this list, don't forget to look at the Patreon description in the link below. Thank you.